Chachai Hall in Korat, where it's mixed pair action coming your way. Preliminary Group A encounter here between an Indonesian pair and a Singaporean pair. So Ferdi Kurnia Pamungkas and Suchikirana Dewi, who we've seen in action in singles play, coming up here against the Singaporean gold medalists, superstars of Friday's outing. There you can see the young man, the 19-year-old Aloysius Gan Kai Hong, gold medalist alongside his teammate Nurul, as she's known, Nurul Asika, who of course picked up gold herself as well. She beat, in fact, her opponent in this match here, Suchikirana, 6-1 in the individual BC3. And as for Aloysius, well, he picked up his gold yesterday, beating the Thai player Chantakat Witun 3-1 in a very, very tight one. Casey, the referee today. Obviously in Boccia, the referee hugely important in determining scores, signaling the scores to the players here. And you'll be seeing a variation on what we've seen so far, because obviously there are 2 athletes per team here, and there'll be some alternate shot making being played here. Otherwise, though, if you've been watching our Boccia competition, you'll know exactly what it's about. That is the jack. The jack is then served up by the winner of the coin toss at the start of the match, and then they will pursue that with the red ball. The opponents will have the blue. And the idea is, with the 6 balls available to them over 4 ends, to pick up the most points. Well, that's not as close as they might have liked, but it is a shielding play to an extent with the red ball. Of course, vastly different Singaporean players in terms of background and experience. Nurul is 40 years old right now. She's been involved in this sport now at the very highest level for 21 years. Whereas Aloysius, the gold medalist, of course, having followed 2 silvers in previous ASEAN Para Games, is now somebody who really is coming into his own at the very, very top. Again, for those of you who wouldn't be too familiar with this, as well as the players themselves, hugely important role for those that are operating the ramps as well on the direction of the player, in terms of finding both the angle that they want to take as they prepare to play a shot, and also the height at which the ball will be placed before it is then moved by the player. And then it rolls, and then we see whether or not they're able to either dislodge the opponent's ball or get closer to the jack than their opponent has. See both of the women over on the far side of your screen there, and both of the male players on this side, and oh, that is a superb ball. How about that? Absolutely brilliant, that from Fendi there. The door was open because from that wide angle he did have the opportunity to get beyond the red ball of the Singapore pair, but he's done more than just that, because he's kissed up against the jack as well, which is going to make it very, very tough going forward on that side. Role of the ramp operator, of course, hugely important. We've heard in the past that Nurul has always been very, very complimentary to her operator, and that's Nur Aziza, who plays a huge role in making sure that the instructions are executed to perfection. You'll see the timer ticking away there. Of course, they put a limit on the amount of time in which the player or players must release the ball. Now look at the height of this one, and look at how high Aloysius is going. He's looking to go and smash here. Oh, and does so. Doesn't move the blue ball further away than any of the red balls from the jack, but does achieve the desire of looking to get some movement there and to disrupt. So that's 2 reds rolled now. But it's still the Indonesians that have the advantage. once again, with the jack just shifted, that actually opens up the play here, and there's an opportunity for them to double up the advantage. But it will have to be the player or the players or the team furthest away that continues to use their remaining balls until they get one closer than the opponent. And it looks as if it's going to be another powerful attempt coming from Aloysius Gan here, looking to disrupt once again. Okay, so the ball is now placed, and now it's Aloysius just to get it moving. Looks as if he's going to just try once again. Oh, and that's really well done. Just cannoned the red ball there forward to a round of applause from a very appreciative crowd there. That was a very well executed shot. He's moved closer now to the jack, which is going to force the Indonesians into action. So their clock begins to tick. That really was classy, because not only did he get closer to the jack, but he also just put the block on the blue ball. But with only one used so far, opportunity presents itself from this side now, this court, for Dewi Suci Kirana. She's been involved in a real battle with Nurul throughout the course of the individual competition, beating her, but crucially losing in that final 6-1 yesterday in the individual event. Oh, and there you are. Look at the quality. Absolutely perfect weighting then. So advantage once again to Indonesia there. It was open, and it was asking there for just that roll, but she still had to execute, and does so perfectly. Now, this is a tricky one, because the angle that presents itself to Nurul is not a particularly great one, in that she can, yes, impact that blue ball, but it might just push the jack in a direction she doesn't want to see it go. Aloysius is going to take on the better angle, with just a little bit of a gap between the balls to get to. With 3 red balls utilized already, down to 2 minutes 30 on the clock. Okay, here it comes. Through the gap, yes, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Could not have walked over there as an assistant and placed that any better. So the instruction there from Aloysius Gan to his ramp operator, absolutely perfect, in that it was splitting the 2 balls. And it's closer, just as you can see, nudging the blue ball out the way as well. That is absolutely brilliant. And it's amazing to think that the ramp operator doesn't even see the upshot. But had she done so, she would have said that she could not have gone and put the ball better than that. Perfect placement. So now it's going to be going for height, going for pace and power, and going for a bit of a demolition job here. What do we get here? Oh, hopped on the top, and that looks as if it's just, again, in this seesawing opening end here, giving the Indonesians the advantage. The blue ball closer. So this really has been a wide open end, this one. The onus is back on the Singaporeans again, with 4 of the balls utilized already. Just over 2 minutes on the clock. And it really looks like it's a straightforward shootout now in terms of who can just get close and try and perhaps protect that ball. So she is such a student of not just this sport, but just about any topic out there is Nurul, and she's going to have to really put that brain to use on this one, because it's a difficult position that the Singaporeans find themselves in. Having utilized one more ball than their opponents, of course, there will always be the chance for the opposition to have the final say in this. Looks as if she's going to look to just try and gently roll one up there in between the jack and the blue ball, which she does. That's her quality. That's kissing the jack, which again means it's going to be advantage to the Singaporeans, but with plenty of time on their hands and with up to 3 balls left to use, Indonesia have an opportunity now to re-establish a position of strength. The most obvious angle here is the wide one, to come through the gap between those 2 red balls and then nudge the jack out to the right as we look at it. That would be the play. And it looks now very much as if Fendi is going to be going for maximum power. Does so. But as that one skips over the top and away, it actually plays into Singapore's hands a little bit more there. So a little look at the score from Casey then. So it's wide open as we come towards the end of this absorbing first end. So Suci Kirana is going to have to come up with a play here that sets the Indonesians up for what they're probably going to have to do. Is this one's going to go right down to the last ball, you can be sure of that. So remember, the score will be the aggregate of what happens across the 4 ends that are played. And at the moment, it's waiting for the first score to be added at the end of this opening end. And here she comes. That was a great opportunity. Yeah, perfectly done. And the position on that is going to cause all kinds of problems now for Team Singapore. Under 1 minute, 1 ball remaining, and it looks as if it's going to be Nurul who's going to have to go for broke here. She may well have to look to just try and smash through here and hope for the best in terms of outcome. Definitely advantage Indonesia, that's for sure. Under 30 seconds to make this play now. And that's where you can see the work of Nur Aziza really coming in to play. She's calm, she's composed, and she's got about 15 seconds now to get this lined up. Is Nurul going to be able to make this play? 10 seconds and less. It's tight. It's tight. Can she nudge this forward? Time called. Time called. And she was unable to make the play in time. And as a result of that, take a little look there at the ball placement, and you'll see the scorecard being held up in just a moment. End finished. 1 for red, 1 for blue was the call. Fendi just going to have a little check of the positioning there for himself. Looking to be 100% sure. And we will await the official confirmation of the scores to the scorekeepers as well as the fans inside this Chachai Hall. Yeah, decides that there is work to be done here. And it's an opportunity now to increase the advantage in this opening end of this preliminary Group A matchup. Is there an obvious play? You can see that angle shows you just how congested it is ahead of the jack there, but possibly an opportunity to nudge another blue ball closer. Down to 5 seconds, here it comes, and yeah, the idea was right, just a slightly lighter ricochet off. That ball might have taken another blue closer, but as it is, it looks like 1 is going to be the score. So, reset for everybody now. Hive of activity around the court. That was the play, and with 1 ball already in position, it was a question of, was there any chance of just getting another closer? So advantage Indonesia early on in this match. Slender advantage nonetheless. So it's 1-0. After that, really entertaining, very, very absorbing first end. So just making sure that the players are entirely in position is our referee, as she prepares to get us going once more. So the jack is with Dewi Suci Kirana. Just need to see just how long she goes with this white ball with the jack. That was a short roll for the first end. And this one's going to be a really tight one. Yeah, a little closer to the sideline. Similar length as the first. And to follow up that jack now to execute the plan. Second ball will be placed. Here it is, the first blue ball to come down the ramp. And it is, as you would imagine, on line, but maybe lacking a little bit there in distance. Certainly opens things up out wide for Nurul, who's coming to have a little look at this now. It's going to be a tighter angle, really, for Aloysius to make anything happen. But we're just at the start of this end now. 7 minutes are up and running for Team Singapore. Fascinating about that ball placement first up by Suchikirana there is that it could either represent a great opportunity for the Singaporeans, or it could be a little bit dangerous in that there is a chance that they might end up knocking the blue ball closer. Taking a long time over this one. As we see from that wide angle, Nurul looks as if she's going to be able to just slide something in between the Indonesian's ball and the jack. There's the line, you can see she's gone wide and is adjacent to the jack without touching, and this is still very much wide open. There's a very, very clear line of sight pathway there for Fendi. And see, really, he can almost set that ramp up parallel to the box he's got there, and that will still give him an easy line towards the jack. This could be the key ball in this end, this one. Probably look to just cozy one right up to the jack. And here it comes. Here it is, the pace is excellent. And he'll be relatively happy with that. Not ecstatic, because there's still a bit of daylight there. Remember, the quality of the ball from Nurul's is that it's competitive. Which is closer? The referee's made her decision already on that, and you'll see who goes next. So from one of the central positions now, you can see it's going to be a power play by the looks of things from Suchikirana. Going high, looking to disrupt a little bit now. Because there are opportunities here, and look at that, right from the top. Here we go. Beautifully done. That really is exquisitely done there. Knew that she could just knock the blue ball closer, which she does. It's now, let's listen. Well, they're both equidistant by the looks of things. And it's still open. This end is very much there for the taking. Aloysius sees a clear opening there. There's a clear gap that's opened up because of that little cannon there. So instead it's going to be Nurul coming in from a wide angle here. This is the one they think is going to be the play. Yeah, there's the gap, and it's knocked out. And it's not long, and it is Singapore closest with the advantage from 2 balls to Indonesia's 3. Both Singaporeans had a good look at that one in terms of what opportunities presented themselves, and she's in a wide position in terms of the way that the jack was displayed here. Doesn't give too much away there. We saw a wonderful, broad, beaming smile from this experienced Singaporean athlete yesterday when she finally secured gold in her final against Dewi Suchikirana. She's all business again right now. Incredible athlete, incredible person is Nurul. Remember, she speaks 6 languages. Incredible athlete in terms of her pedigree. First ever Paralympian from Singapore, competing in London 2012, finished 4th in Rio at the Games 2018, picked up an Asian Para Games silver medal as well. Now, Fendi with his response, and it's a power response, and it works, because that looks as if it might just have re-established an advantage for the blue. But again, this is really wide open. Very, very tight, this, as was the first end. Indonesia down to 144 on the clock, with 4 of those blue balls used. And the decision to be made now is who is away, who goes now. Just keep an eye on those clocks and you'll see. So a lengthy delay then in this second end. Players coming to terms then with exactly what the upshot is going to be, as we saw the referee moving in on the ball. Less than a minute to go for the Indonesians now. In the shape of Suchikirana. who pushes 2 balls forward, one of them kissing up against the jack now to give them the advantage. And that was a very timely shot with 35 seconds left on the clock. And now it's up to the Singaporeans again, who have a clean line of sight on this one. But it's a question really of just how much of a power play they're prepared to make here, with the jack getting closer to the sideline. The activity is coming from the far right-hand side there, and Nurul, who's going to go from the top, and who's going to go on a power line here. Here it comes. Oh, what a play. What a play, but has it worked? Just for a moment, the red ball skipped up in the air and looked as if it might circle closer to the jack. But it hasn't got any closer to the naked eye than the blue of Indonesia. Remember, these leather balls can actually flip up and sit on top of the ball. You do see that on occasion. So now, what's the play? Aloysius with the line, with the opportunity to just sneak one through the gap here, by the look of things. It's a high play, and with the stick in place, they'll now look to get this one into effect. This could really set the proverbial cat amongst the pigeons. Oh, and it just glances off the blue. Doesn't have the desired effect. So again, as we saw in the first end, this is really compelling all the way down to the final balls. Who is it to be? Another quick glance at the spacing there, and another update there. But this is really close. Neither of these teams with the advantage. It's a slender 1-0 lead for Indonesia in this high-quality preliminary encounter. In Group A, with the mixed pairs here, watching the ASEAN Para Games from Thailand, and Boccia Hall has been one that has produced plenty of success for Team Singapore over the last day or so, but they're going to have to fight hard in this one. Here comes Aloysius again. Oh, look at that. That's a great play. This time the line was perfect. Now, there's a little bit of talk about whether or not there was an issue with the delivery of that ball. Getting into some technicalities here. But what is now a fact is that with 5 balls used each per team, it's all still to play for. But it's tight now for time for one of these teams. There was the release. And look at that. Did what he wanted to. pushed the blue ball out the way, got that red ball close, and with less than 10 seconds to go, are we going to see a play? Yes, we are, from Fendi. And it's an important one. Oh, and it just rolls a little too far through the gap. So they're timed out, and with a ball left, Team Singapore an opportunity, most likely through Aloysius, who's in the best position in terms of line of sight here, to make something happen. Got an opportunity to possibly turn this into a 2-point advantage. At the moment, it most likely would be 1. If you can just gently ease a ball up behind the jack. That's the line. Under a minute to go. Plenty of time. And there's just a little bit of a measurement going on here. Now, the calipers have come out to establish exactly what the advantage is and whether or not he needs to use this ball. So you can see there's the measurement taken. Now, how does it relate to that blue ball after they've checked the distance between white and red? Advantage red on both counts. So, what's the play? Oh, what a play. What a play that is, because the ball he's just launched is seemingly closer. And at the end of this end, is there to be a comeback score for the Singaporeans? Close examination from the respective camps. They're all taking a close look. Clearly that last ball is the closest to the jack. It's just a question of the second ball, which she had already measured out as being closer. So there's a good chance there's a two-point swing here. That's close. As Nurul gets very close to inspect this one. She and Fendi happy enough with the referee's decision. And let's just await confirmation of the score. So to be 1 finger or 2. 2 red is the call. And that represents a turnaround in this match. And it came right at the very, very end there of the second end. So Singapore, having dropped the first by a point, come back winning 2 in the second end, and it's a 2-1 lead. And it's really entertaining. Very, very close-up match. What's been interesting about it as well is, given the fact that we see 4 players, it's just far more wide open than you typically get in an individual singles match. Because of the different angles, you're seeing a lot more daylight between the jack and the various balls around it. Again, such a quick turnaround between ends. They have to just compose themselves and go again. So, what's the direction of the jack this time out? Well, we see a similar play. This has been very, very tight with the relatively short roll that we've seen so far. Aloysius goes even shorter. That is very, very close to the edge of the zone in which it must play. And The idea will be, presumably, to just put a screen up now, to put a block up as soon as he can on an angle that makes it hard, particularly for the player to his left, Suchikirana. He's gone a little bit further to his right, which means that he's covering his bases as far as Fendi is concerned. He's blocked at the moment in terms of direct access to the jack. But Suchikirana has a chance, if she wants here, to actually move that jack a little bit. Take it away from the red. But what's happened instead is she has now taken a blue ball out of play, out of the equation, and exposed the jack again. Happy to take their time at the start here, Team Indonesia, as they know that they need to get back into this match. And nicely played from Fendi. The smart play, just get one in play, get one close to the jack. So now, Singapore in the shape of Aloysius Gan with the riposte. Nurul has a close look from her angle. And of course, it's completely wide open from her line of attack. Should she choose to, she could move the opposition ball out the way. See the communication between the players there. And in the end, the decision has been taken that it is to be Nurul who's going to take the initiative here. Aloysius explaining what he thinks needs to happen. That's the play. Took it away there from the blue ball. Puts it in a really good position here because that's pretty much shielded, certainly as far as Suchikirana is concerned. Fendi could come into play here. As his angle enables him now to come around from the outside, possibly even to put a ball between the jack and the red. That's a great camera angle there. Shows you exactly what you need to know. Yes, it's slightly off the angle that Fendi has, but it does show that there's an opportunity. With just a little knock on the red ball to take red out of play and to establish one, maybe two balls in a position of power strength for Indonesia here. Looks as if it's going to just be a touch play here, a subtle little play. Gone for the short. Ready to go. Just watch that red ball now. Oh, and it's beautifully done. There was a gap, and it's taken him into a great position now, because that little bump off the jack also causes a problem for Nurul's angle. Leaving Aloysius now most likely needing to do something about that ball. He's also got what looks like an opening just around the side of the red ball that's already in play. Here's a communication with Nurul as she takes a close look as well. Big call this now for the Singaporeans. Could go either way this, in terms of what they decide. Yeah, looks as if that is the smart play, coming in from the wide out angle. So, for Singapore, Nurul just missed the angle on that. Still going to be Singapore to play, and it looks as if it's a little double team act here, in that that one has just pushed the red ball closer, but has also opened up an angle there, possibly for Aloysius to just ease one through and up close to the jack here. Again, you have to admire the quality and the skills of these ramp operators, operating under time constraints, changeable tactics, and having to get the job done quickly and efficiently. Done, and here we go. Yes, that's the play. Super play from Aloysius there. Took the bump and rolled up against the jack, kissing close to it. That's now looking like a position of strength for Team Singapore. Looks like it's just advantage by one, as the Indonesians have to come back. So they go high, and they go in pursuit of a bit of disruption, do the Indonesians here. This is a really important part of this match now, with Singapore leading 2-1 after two ends. With the slight advantage in this, the third. Chance now with the fourth ball to change the dynamic of this one. does so in terms of getting some movement and power into the play, but it looks as if it's still advantage to the red of Singapore. And now you have to start looking at the clock as well on the Indonesians' play as they have to go again. What has that done to the angles that present themselves now to Suci Kirana? That was a significant movement of the jack. She's got a minute 30. They've got a minute 30 now. 2 balls left to play if they can, if they have to. And this is very rapid decision-making called for. Change his mind in terms of how much weight, how much pace here, and here it comes. It's going to knock. Oh, what a play. What a great play. But it's there for the woman next to her, who is very quickly into position, though, because she knows that this was the best that Suci Kirana could help for. But look at that. There is so much of that jack still exposed from the angle that Nurul's got, that she has a wide open opportunity here. Let's see the reaction from the Indonesian. Tells you all you need to know. Now, looking into both players' angles here, you can see Aloysius having a close look at this. His instructions going to his teammate. And here comes the play. It'll be a straightforward enough one. Just roll this one up to the jack. Bump the blue out the way. Yes. Quality from Nurul again. "50 seconds for the Indonesians to salvage something from this end." Fendi was set to go if needed, but looks now as if Suci Kirana is going to have to come up with some kind of a play. There's no obvious one available other than just really hit and hope. Looking to go for a bit of height. Here we go. Oh, what a bump that was. What a clever play. Took it wide. Look at the lateral movement there. And now, suddenly, Singapore have got some thinking to do. Look at this. She took it off the outside red, then the next red, and then bumped it close up to the jack. That is some play. Just over 40 seconds on the clock now with their final ball of this third end. Singapore to make something happen. Big moment in this match. Aloysius sees an angle, sees an opportunity. It's going to have to be a ricochet off that red ball there. Oh, and he misses. Through the gap it goes. Couldn't quite get that faint nudge on the side of the ball to push it in. And as a result, this one tightens up again. One red is the final score. And a turnaround in a minute now as we go on again. So that was a tight one. And just when it looked as if Indonesia might have got themselves level once again with the red ball in contention and a chance to nudge another into contention, Singapore had a chance to stretch their lead, but instead advanced by just one, making it 3-1 through 3 ends. 1 to go. Indonesia must fight back. So time for the jack to go. This is the moment of truth. It's the 4th and final end in this highly competitive mixed pairs preliminary Group A matchup between our Indonesians and Singaporeans. Some really entertaining stuff played so far, with the Indonesians taking the early lead in the first end, Singapore coming back with a 2-1 lead, which has now become a 3-1 lead. Similar position here to what we saw from the jack in the second end, as Fendi of Indonesia gets us up and running. Play once again will most likely be to just get this ball close up on the left side as he looks at it of the jack, just to shield a little bit of a view for both of the Singapore players. There he is, pace off, and that's an angle that almost straight line angle, really, just behind the jack. Early advantage, but there's a lot left to happen, of course, in this end, this vital end. 2 Singaporean gold medalists on show here. If you're just joining us, you're watching our coverage of the 13th ASEAN Para Games from Thailand. We're in Korat's Chachai Hall, and about to get into action is one of those gold medalists. That is Nur Asika, who saw off the challenge of Suci Kirana in the women's individual gold medal match yesterday. Her teammate, you can see in the middle of the picture there, that's Aloysius Gan, the 19-year-old, picking up gold as well on Friday, beating Chantakut Witun of Thailand in his individual final. Look at this power play coming in here. Remember, with that 2-point advantage in this, the final end, Singapore will be mindful that if they can just take as much out of play as possible here, get that jack as close to the line as possible, then that cushion they have might just be enough to see them home. So she sacrificed hers to just get the jack open once again. And she's just had a little word there with Aloysius to be ready. And she is. See the ramp assistant then just massaging the ball to make sure it's true, that it's round, that it will roll properly. Oh, the referee not happy with the delivery. Felt that there was an impediment somewhere on the ramp that didn't allow for a smooth roll. This is a big moment in this match. It's a big call, this one. Is that ball going to count? She stepped straight in. having a word with the timekeepers there to make sure. Okay, now we go again. Okay, so it's a reload here for Aloysius with the second ball. Yeah, nicely done. Advantage, Singapore, but Indonesians have got plenty of opportunities, plenty of scope to get around that. Fendi has a clear line of sight here. Could do what he wants really with this one. Could perhaps just get one in between the jack and the Singapore ball. Might even choose to just nudge the jack forward a little bit. So it's an adjustment in terms of the height of the ramp here to the lower option, which of course means less speed. And he's going to be going for position then here rather than power. That was the play, and that is going to be a smart play as well. Gives the blue ball the advantage. Noura's always one step ahead. She'll have probably anticipated that play, which now means it's going to be probably a situation that calls for a little bit more power from the outside position that she's in, far right side. Aloysius has a good look from his vantage point. Noura, though, is going to go to smash and grab. Is she? Let's have a look. Yeah. It's going for height, going for power, and going to disrupt. A long stick comes out. So this is going to be spectacular. Keep an eye on the jack here and see where this goes. Here it comes. Oh, it's wide. Maybe a little bit too wide, as the slight frown on the face of Nurul tells you there that all that served to do was actually move the red ball out of the way and keep the blue in a position of advantage. Started off a little bit too wide left. Let's see what the idea was, but with two balls from the opposition in close attendance, that was a slightly risky play. Which means now it's going to have to be a similarly dynamic play from Aloysius, who's gone high again. Here it comes. Oh, great play. That'll need a close look from the referee, but what he's done there is dislodge the jack. So an adjustment in terms of the positioning now from Suchi Kirana. She's got the angle to be able to just cozy one up there again to the jack and change the dynamic here. She might look to just hit that blue ball at the top there of that cluster of three, head on, straight on, and just roll it up to the jack. But remember, It's a 2-point game in this final end, which means the Indonesians need more than one to count. Does she take the red ball out the equation? Is that the play here? Remember, they've got the opportunity to play more balls here. There she goes. That's it. That was the idea. Because the Indonesians do recognize that they need to have 2 or more balls around that jack come the end of this final, this 4th end. Could have taken that even further away, just took it on a slight off-center angle. So, what now? Now Aloysius with an eye on the prize. Now making the call on how this play develops. Into position, going for height. And this really has been a spectacular end, because now he's going to move that jack. Oh, what a play. What a play. That could be the one that settles this one, even though that jack is exposed and the Indonesians do have 3 balls at their disposal. It's advantage back to Singapore. Well played, young man. Perfect. So, as they play now to try and get something out of this opening preliminary match, all the pressure now heaped upon the Indonesian pair. There's a chance you might look here, Suci Kirana, for a sort of double ricochet effect here. Push the blue ball onto the jack, dislodge the red, and just get a bit of kinetic force through there. It's a tricky play. There's a lot of variables. Here it comes. Oh, beautifully done. Edge of the red, but remember, look at that scoreboard. It's still Singapore with the advantage. So the idea was to try and move that red ball even further away. She hasn't succeeded in that. And now they're under real pressure, the Indonesians. And that's also on the clock as well. Under a minute. A maximum of 2 balls at their disposal, and Fendi now has to try and make something happen. He goes for power, and he's knocked it close. But is that close enough? Yes, because the 2 blue balls are closest now to the jack. And now this game goes into overdrive because they are speeding along. That Singapore play clock has 1:23 on it. Such a good play that from the Indonesians. This is turning out to be an absolute thriller. And look at this now, Nurul calling on all her years of experience. It's wide open for her, and remember, she only needs to just cozy one of those balls up close to the jack, and that will put Singapore really within touching distance of the win. Plenty of time, but it does look as if it's just one play and done here. Does she go for power? Or is it just going to be placement? It looks like she's going to go for power here, because she could take this one out the equation with a dramatic move. If she shifts that jack. And here it is. This roll could settle it. Oh, beautifully done. Puts it there between one of those blue balls and the jack, and that should just about be that. Because now with just one to go, the most the Indonesians could hope for would be to get one ball close to the jack. Unless somehow they can maneuver it just a little bit to the right. She knows the job's not yet done, but with just 10 seconds to go, they're going to have to hurry here. Suci Kirana, this is it for the match. And she's missed. Under pressure, hurried up, and unable to find the angle she needed. And as a result of that, it's tight, but it's good enough for Team Singapore. One red, all they needed to make sure that they extend their lead and make sure they confirm the victory by 4-1. Look at that anguish there from the beaten Indonesian. That was a highly competitive match from start to finish. And there's confirmation, 4-1, the final score. Well, that really was an entertaining match, that one. Right down to the very, very end. The Singaporeans having to just hang in there. And then thanks to the experience of Nurul Asika, they came through with a splendid play. Arguably the finest players you've got on show in this Boccia competition, in that you've got finalists and gold medalists on show in this preliminary match, and it certainly lived up to the billing. We'll have a little look back at that one, but it was, remember, the Indonesians who got off to the better start in the first end. They came out into this one. Both of these players looking for a little bit of revenge against two Singaporean gold medalists from the individual competition. And the dynamic changing from individual to mixed pair play, communication between the pairs absolutely vital, as well as an appraisal of the angles they had. And in a very, very competitive short jack first end, it was the Indonesians who showed the touch play, in particular through Suci Kirana, to get the job done. But it was hanging in the balance right up to the final ball. With both teams looking to go for power, and in the end it was just a one-ball advantage into the second end, and this was really where the match swung decisively, because having looked as if they were in a strong position, the Indonesians surrendered the second end, and they did it by 2 balls as well, right at the death. A wonderful piece of play from Nurul once again, giving her team that 2-point win. That got them in front, and from there on in, Singapore had the quality to just protect that lead through to the third, and any opportunity that the Indonesians might have of coming back into this one was snuffed out with a lovely piece of play from Aloysius. at that line of 3 red balls there, and that meant that on the percentages they were always likely to have at least one as a win. Indonesians went to smash and disrupt, but it wasn't going to be enough, because with that wide open, and she knew, Suci Kirana, there was an opportunity for Singapore to sneak through, which they did, to make it 3-1 and take it to the 4th in a position of strength. Once again, it was tight. Once again, the Indonesians gave themselves a chance, but once more, with time running out, and with the expertise and experience of Nurul on show, Singapore always favourites to win this one. And as you often see in the 4th and final ends, a lot of disruption, a lot of attempts to move the jack. And when it came down to it, it was the Singaporeans who had the quality first through Aloysius, and then when it mattered most, through Nurul at the end to come through. Hope you enjoyed our coverage there. It's a winning start in preliminary action to Team Singapore. And for now, we'll take our leave from the Chachai Hall.